Hello again. My name is Jesse Ledesma. I've sort of done this on and off. Now and then I'll come and make a video. I should have, from a very long time ago, I should have arranged it, organized it a whole lot better. For whatever reasons, it didn't work out that way. The reason I'm coming here today to produce this video is because I do believe, like a lot of people, that not only is the world in danger, and so is the United States of America. Um, how it happened, why it happened, I don't believe it's important. What is important is that it has happened, and it has happened while we are here, and it is our responsibility to do something about it. It would have been great if we could have managed to live out our natural lives without having to confront the issues that are confronting us today. And even though the news media pretends to believe or to tell us that the issues of the day are the injustices and inequalities between homosexuals and heterosexuals, the real issue in the United States of America is that politicians just decided that they're going to run their own agenda regardless of you and I. And that's led to a $17 trillion national debt. It's led to an economy that's not growing. It's led to a lack of employment opportunities. I still believe that for the most part, people want to um, have some kind of a life, no matter what, you know, how that represents itself or how that manifests itself. People still want to have some kind of a life because it's an internal part of being a person. To have a purpose in life, where the purpose is to be a father or a mother or a plumber or a lawyer. It's important that we believe that we have some kind of control over what's going on in our lives. And at the moment, it just appears that we're literally just at the mercy of politicians and business people. And the issue, or at least the solution, is a solution that really is in the hands of the American citizen. There are a lot of attitudes, unfortunately. That's where it all comes down to. It's the attitude of individuals and how that attitude contributes to the lack of involvement, the lack of input. And what we're seeing is if you don't do anything, if all we have to offer is negative criticism, then we're not going to get anything out of it. And by out of it, I mean out of the American experience. The politicians, Republicans, Democrats, doesn't matter, who are in office trying to force illegal immigration reform, in spite of the opinion of the majority of American people, you know, are there because somebody elected them. And they're there because somebody keeps electing them. And they have managed to create their own little power circle, their own little power cycle or system where they have very little interest in what Americans think and what Americans do. I know people believe what the news media has told them, that the Mexican people are victims of corruption in their country and victims of the criminals in their country, and that because their economy is unable to provide them with economic opportunities, they come to America to look for honest economic opportunities where they're going to be working and not being a burden and a hardship on society. The reality, the truth is that that's not the truth. The people in Mexico, and I've said this before, I've written articles on this before, the dynamics in the Mexican economy changed a long time ago. It was the economy was the majority of the economy was agricultural. When that changed, um, because of the educational system in Mexico, there's a lot of people who just weren't able to adapt. In Mexico, you don't walk into a public school, register your kid, and then send your kid, every day to school during the school year. In Mexico, you have to literally pay tuition for your child every school year, and there's people who, for whatever reason, don't want to do it, can't do it, and that has led to a lot of people who can't participate in a modern industrial society. They could if they prepared themselves, but they choose not to pay the tuition for the school. There's a level of society of very unfit parents, and these parents didn't want their children, and they leave their children in the street. Some of them abuse their child and tell them, if you don't go out and beg for money and bring money home, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to kill you, or you're going to have to sleep outside in the cold. So there's a certain level of just the worst possible type of human being that you can imagine. The reality is, however, that they're not victims. And I can tell you they're not poor. Somehow, the majority of people in Mexico find a way to make money in their country. And they use that money to pay for what is now popularly known as a coyote, which is the person that brings them over. A person from Mexico helping them get through the Rio Grande and manage the streets of America to where their family members are going to bring them. They don't do it for free. They don't do it because of charity. They do it because of money. And it takes a lot of money. So someone has to answer, someone has to tell me where that money comes from. If they are supposedly in a situation where they're not able to work and not able to make money, how do they get the money to pay the person who brings them into the country? And if you know about a little bit about the Mexican economy, what it's known, what Americans get upset over the federal minimum wage in America. In Mexico, what is called the daily wage amounts to 38 pesos, and with the current rate of exchange, you're looking at less than $3 a day. So you got to explain to me how a person who isn't a doctor, who isn't a lawyer, who isn't an engineer, who doesn't work for the government of Mexico, is managing to save, 1,000, 2,000, even $5,000 to be led into the country by one of these Mexican guides when they're only earning less than $3 a day. So the idea that it's economic hardship, that there's no employment, that there's no way for making money, it's a fallacy. The truth is, I say it has become fad and fashion to sneak into the United States of America. During the 1970s, during the 1980s, 1990s, it could be said, before September 11th of the year 2001, it was relatively easy to sneak into America. It was relatively easy to find yourself, in a church that helps poor immigrants get their papers. And yes, I did say it in a sarcastic manner. Um, well, the problem with the church and immigration is, I wonder if the people of the church understand that they are helping people profit in their sin. Instead of counseling these people who stuck into the country, instead of the church, the people of the church, counseling them to go back home, because it is an act against God to violate the borders of another country, because it's a crime. And it's also a crime against man. Not just America has laws. All societies need laws in order to maintain a safe and secure society. Conducting my business yesterday, and as I'm returning back to where I work out of mostly, I noticed that the light is green. There's an SUV in front of me. The light is green, and the SUV isn't moving. And then on the left lane is a white car approaching. He has the green light. He's not going to stop. So he goes to the green light and clips a caravan that was obviously running through the red light. We're going in this direction, and the individual is coming from this direction. And we have the green light, so it's obvious he had the red light. And it wasn't that just he was driving through, he was speeding through, and it did make contact. And when you have that, you can't have a stable, safe, secure society. When you have people breaking the law, whether it's breaking their country's law or breaking the laws of another country, society does fall apart. And that's what's motivated me to come here. The people who want to manipulate these issues in emotional terms and have the American people excuse me, believe that it's an issue of hardship, of economic disparity, of people who are starving to death. It's not. It's an issue of people who decided to take advantage of the people of the United States of America. Usually when I write articles or do videos on these issues, I make it a point to clearly state, my particular position. I was born in Mexico. When I was 4 years old, as far as I'm told, I have no memory of it. I was told to get in the car, and the family came over. My older sister is American, born in the United States of America. My older brother is American, born in the United States of America. My younger sister is American, born in the United States of America. I'm the only one that, that for whatever reason was born in that country. And I have lived in the border town of El Paso, Texas for more than 40 years. As a person, I'm very sincere in my beliefs. I'm very sincere in in my analysis of situations. I think you have to tell the truth. I studied psychology formally at, I'm not going to mention the universities here in El Paso, Texas. It's not hard to find. Got tired of it, and it was a long road. Started when I was 20. Got into my 40s before I could actually finish. And I finally graduated from Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, with a bachelor's of science, majored in psychology, minored in science. And through all of this, I have been thinking about, all the issues as all of us do. As a young person, watching documentaries, hearing the topical conversation. And I sat down and examined it, looked at it, and I came to certain conclusions. See, what we don't understand is the big picture. When you're talking about abortion, when you're talking about, not getting married, cohabitating, when you're talking about, sex before marriage, when you're talking about homosexuality, when you're talking about immigration reform, you're never focusing on the big picture. The big picture is the success and stability of our society. When people run red lights, they take away, they're destroying the stability and security of society. When government creates economic conditions that lead to people not being able to find employment, that is a big negative, and it's destroying the stability and security of society. Not only, the number one reason is that those people are not producing. The reality in an organized modern life is that you need taxes. When people don't work, they don't pay taxes. That means that the people who are working have to pick up the difference. We've heard a lot this year, I'm going to say last year, about this income inequality and about this living wage and economic injustice. In life, I'm going to tell you, from everything that I studied formally, everything that I studied personally, in life, the condition of our life, the condition of your life, the condition of his or her life or their life, is a result of our attitude. It's not the result of governmental action and of corporate greed. We all have a brain, and we can use that brain to evaluate our environment. And I call them by, most people think that I'm talking about trees and dirt and streams. No, I'm talking about jobs. I'm talking about our industrialized society. That's an environment. So you can look at a newspaper and see the jobs that are available. You can log on to the internet and see job search engines and evaluate your environment in that manner. And all of us have a discerning intellectual brain where we can see what the environment is and take from that environment the resources that will help us accomplish our goals. That should be the positive way of doing it. The negative way of doing it is obsessing on an idea and getting upset that that idea didn't follow through. It is absolutely correct that if you're a person in the modern world who graduated from high school, who went to university, got a degree, and who's nice, who takes baths, who shaves, who irons their shirts, who goes to a job interview, looking well and performing well. It is correct that you're going to struggle. It's correct that you have been struggling. It is correct that regardless of your hard struggle, you haven't been able to find employment in the modern world. That is correct. However, you're only limited by your own perception. It would be great if what you wanted to accomplish in life was able to be fulfilled. If you were able to fulfill it, it would have been great. It's not the end of your life, however. You're still here. You still have responsibilities. You still want control of your life. You still want to have direction and purpose, and you want to have the life that you want. Not the life that government gives you, but the life that you can build. And maybe you wanted to be a nurse, but you're now confronted with being realistic and taking a different position that pays well and that allows you to have the life that you want. And I think the problem in the modern society is that too many people, well, first of all, there's a lot of immaturity. Let's just be clear about that. There's been a lot of permissive behavior on the part of society itself, structures of society, politicians, um, if you want to say religious leaders, you know, of the people who are supposed to say, no, life will not work that way. You have to get a high school diploma. You have to get a university degree. You have to save your money. You have to invest if you want to build a business. There's a lot of childish, immature attitudes where people think that just because they thought of the idea should come through. We have that in our society. We have the people who have worked hard through universities, through high schools, gone to the job interviews, sending out the resumes. We have that in our society. We have people who have decided to go the self-employment route and have worked hard and haven't gotten what they have wished to get out of it. And again, I'm going to say that attitude matters. And it isn't government attitude. It isn't corrupt business people's attitude. It's our attitude. And if all we're going to do and say is, it isn't working because of this, and I'm going to give up, then it's over. And I think the most dangerous thing, this is, see, what got Mexico into trouble was that the Mexican people decided that um, the government doesn't work, businesses don't work. So they're justified in being just as corrupt as the corrupt politicians and the corrupt business people, not to mention the corrupt criminals. And instead of recognizing these elements as realities and working around them, they decided to mimic the behaviors that these corrupt business people and corrupt politicians and corrupt criminals uh, perform, and together collectively entered into an attitude of negativity that literally destroyed their society. You know, when you don't believe in anything, You don't invest in anything. My responsibility is not to look at personal strengths from politicians. My personal strength should not come from the integrity of politicians. My personal strength should come from my personal integrity. Regardless of the insanity of the world, if I want a good life, then I have to use my smart brain with a positive attitude, an optimistic attitude, a realistic attitude to get what I want out of life, regardless of the screwed up mess that the politicians are making. And we, many of us don't think in those terms, that we're going to have a good life in spite of the bad people. And we have a society of a bunch of immature people who have just decided to go ahead and view things as the media presents them and live their life according to this perception. And society is suffering. People are not working, there's any tax dollars. We fuel the economy when we start to work. Because when we start to work, we start to purchase, and the more we purchase, the more companies open, more stores open, more banks open, and there's more economic opportunities for individuals. The American economy isn't going to recover if people decide not to work, if people decide not to conduct business. And it's us. It's our morality. That is the central point of this video essay. That we exercising our personal morality are the reason that society is the mess that it is. It's that simple. Yes, we can blame the politicians, but who controls the politicians? You and I control the politicians. You and I even control the businesses. If we see a business behaving badly, we should not purchase anything from that business. So when people are complaining about how bad society is, really it's how bad we are, how immature we are, how petty we are. When you run red lights, you endanger the lives of everybody around you. And people, you have the individual who's committing the crime, but you also have the individual who's looking at people commit crimes. And unfortunately, because of the way the human being is made, it is very easy for us to say, well, that person over there doesn't follow the rules, therefore I'm not going to follow the rules. And if everybody stops following the rules, you do have chaos and you have anarchy. Um, and it's more complicated because what people don't want to hear, what people would desire not be included in this conversation, it's absolutely necessary, has to be said. Biblical morality is absolutely important. A relationship with God, an honest, realistic relationship with God is necessary. The human being does not have the ability to be moral on his or her own. That is one of the conclusions that I have come to. It would be nice if they could. Society would be better. But we see many examples of bad behavior in our society. And it isn't 1% of the population that is behaving badly. It isn't 10% of the population that is behaving badly. I'm going to say that it's close to 40%. How no one wants to live in a society of savages. People not only lose confidence, trust, they stop being part of society. They log off, sign off, call it what you will. That's the problem with Obama and his view of the economy. When my work effort doesn't result in any kind of profit whatsoever, why should I continue to work? The only reason for existing is to pay taxes so other people can relax. And as so many Democrats have said, become writers and photographers and painters and what have you. What is the purpose for me working? I think that is a very, you know, important question that needs to be answered. Because again, our immorality contributes to the instability and the lack of security in society. And it's everybody. It's the corrupt politician, but it's also the person who runs a red light. It's the police officer in uniform who adopts an attitude of superiority over the members of the society that he or she serves and spends her time physically and verbally abusing uh, members of society. All of it together contributes to a failed society. And we may not want to admit it. We may prefer that, can avoid thinking about these issues. Nobody wants to think about God. Nobody wants to think about God's morality. Nobody wants to think about being nice and decent and respectful and polite. It seems that those are the values that were left a long time ago. We and look at what we have. With violence and aggression left and right. And it isn't the gun. It isn't the Second Amendment. It is the human being under the influence of Satan. That's how it is. That's as basic as it gets. The individual person being under the influence of Satan because they're nowhere near God. The farther away you are from God, the closer you are to Satan and his demons. And if we want to contribute to the destruction and failure of America, we can. People living within the borders of the United States of America have no control over what's going on in Mexico, or Malaysia, or Afghanistan, or Iraq. They would like to, but in reality, they have their own perception. And they have their own perception of their environment. And they believe what they believe because they were either culturally taught it, they saw it, or they think they saw it, or they're just not willing to use their decency to evaluate things. I believe in health. I believe that we all want to accomplish a status of peace, love, and joy. I know that there's a lot that comes from human interaction, healthy human interaction. Um, there's a lot of vulgarity, and vulgarity poisons the human spirit. Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, the majority of what's on television, network television, or cable satellite television, is vulgar negativity. The reason that I know this for a fact, the reason that many people feel bad, horrible, tensed up, filled with anxiety, suffering from major depression, is because of the negative attitude. Because they have been convinced that the society they live in is a bad society. And they can just as easily recognize the positive, recognize what's good in society, focus on what's good in society, and try to live a healthy, pleasing, enjoyable life by having that as a focus. I was just going to, I was meditating on an article I was going to write about marriage. And a long time ago, I came to what I call positive ideation as a philosophy of life. And it is built on being positive, optimistic, and realistic. And by realistic, I mean being grateful for what we have and enjoying what we have. And I emphasize human interaction. And I say attitude matters. Have a good attitude, and you'll have a good life. And and as you said, that the way to a good life is simple pleasures. Laughing with a friend, uh, interacting with family, and of course that close, personal, intimate relationship with a romantic partner. And I am talking about heterosexual Christian romantic partner. And I was going to write this article because I saw something that just concerned me. It was on marriage and how to have a healthy marriage, a happy marriage, a marriage where the husband is happy, the wife is happy, and the children are happy. And it was on a Christian television program, and I was surprised because what our society teaches us is how to be childish. Our society teaches us how to be petty. Our society teaches us how to be immature. And our society contributes to different degrees of psychological issues in people. And when you have this dynamic of negativity and complicated by psychological challenges, you are going to have people who are not going to be able to meet the challenge of a happy, loving, enjoyable marriage. But what came to my mind automatically when I was looking at this, and it was obvious that the perceptions of the challenges in marriage were based on the idea that this negative idea that's perpetuated in movies and television. And I was thinking, well, if a husband and wife, each one, understands their positive energy, understands their optimism, understands their realism, has a good attitude, is employing simple pleasures in the rhythm of life, and by the rhythm of life I mean is, you wake up and instead of automatically going to all the negative issues, you start focusing on the good. And you start, you know, enjoying your breakfast. And then, you wake up, you listen to good music, or you watch a television program, or you interact with your family. And it's healthy, enjoyable interaction. And then you're off to work, and on your way to work, you're listening to music that is enjoyable to you. You're not paying attention to the jerks around, the people suffering from road rage. You're in a good mood. You're in a positive mood. You're always in a combat mode. Prepared that somebody around you might do something. Because I believe that we should be security sensitive and understand the threats around us. But you're going about with a positive attitude, a good attitude, and you're giving yourself these simple pleasures of life as pick-me-ups, meals. I don't mean you need to drink soda every day, but maybe a soda or a piece of pie or ice cream. You laugh around with your coworkers. Healthy, respectful humor, and on your way home again, you're listening to something that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be music. It can be a Christian program, a minister, a pastor, talking on an issue, and you're enjoying these simple pleasures of life, and it's making you feel good, and you're enjoying life. And if the husband and the wife are going about this in their day-to-day, you know, life, looking for simple pleasures, healthy pleasures, whether it be grapes or apples or peaches or bananas, book to read, you know, and when they come together, they're two healthy, happy people, and in the relationship, there are simple pleasures of life also, because you have comfort, and you have uh, hugs and kisses, and you have conversation, you have companionship, you have a friend, you have humor. So the relationship, the person is a healthy person, the man is a healthy man, the woman is a healthy woman, and when they're in their marriage is healthy because they have a healthy attitude. They have a positive attitude. They have an attitude that focuses on what's good in life and uses what's good in life as simple pleasures, as pick-me-ups, to continue to fuel the experience of peace, love, and joy. And I was surprised that I'm watching this Christian program, and they're going on about how marriages will not work, and marriages will not work because of reason A, marriages will not work because of reason B, and I'm thinking to myself, why can't they say positive ideation? Why can't they say be positive, be optimistic, be realistic, uh, be grateful for what you have, enjoy what you have? Why don't they talk about simple pleasures of life? Why don't they talk about in the rhythm of life, as we wake up, get prepared to work, on our way to work, while we're at work, on our way back home from work, why are they not talking about incorporating simple pleasures of life, simple healthy pleasures, to enhance a healthy, happy life? Is it because they don't know? I mean, has there in the human history, has there never been a healthy, happy marriage? And when you talk about society, see, people who are healthy, people who are focused on what's good and decent, are nice, respectful, polite people, are the people that build society. They're the people who follow the laws. They're the people who know the issues, who know the politicians, and who invest. And the other side, I almost want to say the liberal Democrat side, is the side that spends their time criticizing Christians and productive members of society. And is trying to convince us that we're the reason that poor people are poor. I'm not responsible for. I didn't make one poor person. They made themselves. And if we, who are productive members of society, don't have a healthy attitude, we can definitely, know that the unproductive members of society don't have a healthy attitude. And the only thing that's going to happen in society is that society is going to collapse because the bad people are going to keep working at destroying it, and the good people are going to give up. And by giving up, we will be part of the destructive force that destroys society. And it does come to individual morality. And again, I know people don't want to hear that, but that's the central core message of this video essay, that God is important. Being a good person, being a decent person, not just by our perception, by the perception of God, and feeling the joy and the happiness because we know we have the approval of God. That really does build societies. And, the people of Mexico destroyed their country. They're going to have to deal with that. The challenge of Americans, the challenge of good and decent Americans, whether Christian or not, is to not allow the destructive forces that have destroyed other countries to destroy their country. It's sad. It is sad what's going on in Mexico and all over the world. But the reality is that by destroying the principles of life that contribute to happy, healthy people, you're not making a better society. This president is wrong. I mean, this morning I was thinking about what in the world did this president purchase when he overspent $9 trillion? He's added $9 trillion to the national debt. Did he purchase jobs? I don't think so. Did he help people save their homes from foreclosure? No, he didn't. Did he, has he made business opportunities for people? No. Career opportunities? No. Did he feed people? No. Did he give people college educations? No. I mean, $9 trillion. $9 trillion is a whole lot of money. And you give me $9 trillion, and there's not going to be one person on the planet. There's not going to be one person who needs health care. And there's going to be money left over. Okay. I was also thinking yesterday that the health care, the Affordable Health Care Act, is not health care. It's the opportunity. No, it's not the opportunity. is being forced by government to purchase healthcare insurance. That's what you got out of the American Health Care Act, is that you were forced, coerced by government to purchase a product. And for a lot of people, that product is unaffordable. And for a lot of people, they went from having their own personal private insurance that they could afford to now not being able to afford insurance under Obama's American Affordable Health Care. So it's not health care. You're not going to go and get lab work. You're not going to be seen by a doctor. You're not going to go and get, be in a hospital if you need surgery or hospital care. You're going to go to a healthcare exchange and you're going to purchase. You're being forced by government to purchase healthcare insurance, and for the majority of Americans, that insurance in that Affordable Health Care Act is unaffordable. And the reason it happened is because of our pettiness, our immaturity, our immorality. We're poisoned with a negative attitude. We have a negative spirit. We let the news media run us around, poison our brains with negative images, negative messages, and we adopt the